Welcome to Smart Cherry's Thoughts. This is Sai from India.
Good. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Rosa. Firstly, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to interview you for my YouTube channel and podcast.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. I'm always happy to help the youth, the youth of various parts of the world in their little ventures. Will be good.
So, yeah, thank you, Rosa. Firstly, thank you for coming to my show. I thought to tell about the work that you're doing and the work that you already did to my audience.
Yeah, we'll have to. Are we live yet?
Yeah.
We are live. That's all right because the sound's still not 100%. So I didn't quite. So look, yes, look, I'm more than happy to help the youth, and I'm happy to help the youth in India, and I tend to help the youth in Africa. As well as my home country of Australia, although I live in Singapore. But it's just, yeah, joy to be on your show.
So, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Okay, I can do that. So yes, I'm Ross Swan, and as people probably see with my grey hair and or the lack of it, that I'm getting at the end of my career. Um, but basically, I coach executives primarily. I train people on leadership. And I've been doing that for about 24 years. And I was in the corporate world prior to that. Used to run a region for a company in financial services. But I went coaching because I enjoy developing leaders. And I'm on this show because I like developing young leaders because young leaders are the leadership of tomorrow. And that's what I enjoy. And probably the most important aspect of that is for a leader, you have to lead yourself first before you can lead others. And that's the important key. So I do a lot of self-leadership, which is helping people be better versions of themselves. Because that's really what good leaders do. They all have the discipline to do the right things for themselves, which then in turn helps them do the right things for others.
You are from? You're from?
My what, sorry?
You're from which place?
I, my son, I live in
Uh,
Singapore.
you live in Singapore. So, what is this soul-inspired leadership?
So inspired leadership. Well, I guess I've worked with a lot of leaders in the last 20 odd years, 20 plus years. And it's interesting. The one thing the good leaders have is the fact that they lead from within. And that gives them the authenticity of themselves and the consistency to lead others. So they connect with someone else heart to heart. Where I have leaders who are challenged in their ability to lead, they tend to lead from their head. Sure, their head is to analysing data and helps you with the tactics by which you can operate, but the vision, the creativity, and the connection with people all comes from the heart. And that's the difference. That's all good leaders have that in common. They lead from their heart. They connect. They truly connect with people. That which in turn encourages people, motivates them. They feel part of whatever they're part of, whatever the leader's leading for, either a company or community, whatever it is. They feel part of it because they're being connected. So when you connect with your head, That's like having a debate. That's arguing point, arguing about facts and data. And then leaders who lead from their head are more concerned about the opinion of others in the way that, oh, I better not do this, they may not like it, or I'll do this, I'll show them because I'm better than them. All these sorts of ego trips, that's coming from the head. And see, when you're leading yourself, one thing you'll learn, and as you grow older, you learn it becomes clearer due to experiences, is that basically when you're using your heart to lead yourself, you don't have an ego. You have an inner, what I call an inner ego in a sense. It's belief in yourself that you're okay. So you have a very healthy self-esteem, but you're not there trying to compare yourself with the world. You're just trying to compare yourself with yourself. I'm going to be better tomorrow than what I was today. Keep that attitude, and that's what the good leaders have.
So how to become a leader?
Well, to me, lead yourself. See, I get some people sometimes in organisations, young, say, everyone below 50 is young to me, but you get a 30-year-old, or it doesn't matter what age, a younger person who's trying to get on with leadership, but they're seeking the title and the pay that goes with it. And sometimes I'll be talking to them and they're not showing true leadership. But they tell me, oh yes, but I'll do that when I get promoted. Then I'll have the discipline to do, I know I've got to do that, but I'll do it when I'm promoted. I say to them, you'll never be promoted if you keep doing what you're doing. You've got to show your leadership first, then you get recognised. It doesn't go the other way around. It might happen in some companies, but they're usually toxic cultures. You don't want to be working there. You want companies that will actually look at people who display good leadership and then promote you. And so what it is that if you concentrate on being a good leader with the discipline of being true to yourself, true to your heart, then you'll stick out. You'll be like a lighthouse in a storm. Because leadership standards aren't really great around the world. And I know India's no different. It's the standard of leadership isn't high. And that's a reflection of the engagement and the enthusiasm of employees when they go to work. When you've got a good leader, employees want to go to work and contribute. When the leadership's not so strong, they go to work to get paid. It's a different mindset. It's like, I just go to work, I get paid, I do what I have to do, just do enough to get paid. So I just do that. Someone who wants to go and contribute, it's not so much the money. Yes, pay is important, but they just do. They add value. They're trying and they're contributing. They feel appreciated. They feel important in what they do. And they're excited to go to work and they enjoy it. The day goes quickly. They just enjoy it. And that's the difference. Those people stand out. But that's a consequence of the leadership. It's not a reflection of anything else. Yes, sure, you might go, some with high enthusiasm go because they've got the job they've been searching for, right? They go and start the employer. They've got a lot of enthusiasm. But if the leadership's poor, that enthusiasm gets knocked out of them. They just start to go, over time, it just wears them down because no one appreciates their effort. The culture could be toxic. People backfighting, arguing, all those sorts of things that sort of can be in a workplace. And that's always a sign of poor leadership. But when there's good leaders, everyone's working, collaborating, all that. So it's a different ball game. And that's the key. If you become a good leader and work on your own self-leadership, your own qualities and belief in yourself, then you'll stick out. Because, as I said, leadership is generally quite poor globally. So companies look for the standout leaders wherever they can find them, and they'll grab them.
Is it possible for any human being to become a leader? And what are those qualities which helps any human being to become a leader?
It's interesting. Good question. So I often, people often ask me, are leaders born or made? I'm sorry. In other words, are they born leaders or are they made leaders? Probably the answer is you make a leader. Some, when they're born, have a higher DNA attribute, and their early life helps them, and that's probably because they've had parents who are quite self-disciplined and lead themselves, and that rubs off. So they're naturally taught self-leadership. It's not a conscious thought. It's just that you've got parents actually actively encourage you and encourage your self-belief and all those things. So yes, but they're still not born. They're made by their parents in a way. We're all born. We're all born with the equal DNA, not the same DNA, but we're all born with the one soul. We all have a soul. And to me, then what happens after that, bodies get grown around it. Different colours, different sexes, different whatever, right? They all appear differently, right? So, but in essence, it's that soul that was there, the spirit is there, and that changes. But in the spirit, there's leadership. So yes, if you have the discipline to do it. Now, when I'm saying, well, what do I need? What are the attributes? This is the one exercise people who are listening can take away. And so I challenge you to do this, right? You do this, right? It's at some point you write down, you have a bit of a think. How do I want to be described as a leader? If I was the coach and I went and asked someone who's reporting to you, but how would you want them to be describing you? And people have a big think about it. Then they write something down. It's always over time, because they can think about it. Sometimes, I'll give you an example. Sometimes some of the executives go, yes, I want to be known as a person who gets things done, very efficient and effective. Then I say, so do you think people will remember that? Or do you think people will remember you how you made them feel? Then they think about it. Yes, they'll remember how you made them feel. Because I said, when you think back of all the people you work for, you'll only remember how you made them feel, not how you made them think. But so if you're a bad boss, in essence, you made them feel bad, right? You made them feel terrible. They're stressed. They were this. They weren't enjoying work. It's all these feelings. They'll remember that. And the good bosses, they remember how you made them feel. I always feel energized. When you mention my boss's name, I feel energized. I feel appreciated. See, it's all feeling. So when you keep that in mind, then when you're writing down several bullet points, you don't want to write a novel. You're just writing a little paragraph, how you'd want people who work for you or around you describe you as a leader. And then usually, as I said, people write down how they'd like to make people feel. That's the first exercise. Now comes the big challenge. You've got to have the discipline to carry it out, because it doesn't happen by magic. People don't describe you a way just because you want them to describe you that way. You've got to do that. You've got to behave in a way in order for people to describe you the way you want. See, if you said, for example, something simple, I want to be described as a supportive boss. Yeah, well, what have you got to do for people to describe you that way? And if you're not sure, ask them. They'll soon tell you. Or I want to be described as a boss with a kind heart. Well, what do you got to do to show people you have a kind heart? Then they write that down. So they'll have 5 or 6 points of behaviours they've got to display day in, day out, not just one day a week when they're in a good mood and the IPL team won, but it's every day. Every day, 24 hours a day, you have to live it. Then when you live and do the things that you that if you keep doing it, people will describe you in the way that you really want. Now that's what I call self-leadership. All the good leaders I've met have the ability to do that. They just do it. They just do it, right? Some don't think about it. Others consciously think about it because they've worked on it. I've seen leaders change. I've seen where I often coach leaders with remedial action because their bigger boss, the CEO, has got me to talk to the board chairman, for example. Can you work with our CEO? Can you work with my country head? Because we're getting complaints, right? So whatever it is, so I'm doing remedial in work. So you're working on, and I just want to give you that example. I was working with someone who was the head of a finance department. So she was an accountant in a large organisation, and she just got that job. So she was very keen to be the best boss she could be, but just was too full on. The intent was good, but her behaviours didn't back up the intent because she was over exuberant. She was telling people what to do. She was being over enthusiastic and pushing people too much. All these sorts of things. So when I started coaching her, because it was a remedial coaching, when we went through this exercise, yes, she wanted to be a good leader. She could describe it. Then when we started looking at the behaviours, then she realised she was doing the opposite of how she was making people feel the opposite than how she wanted. So then we worked through the behaviours you need to do. So you're going, it's going to take a bit. I said, yes, it does. But she worked it. She ended up with it was about 8 points checklist of bullet points she had to do. She looked at that when she left for work, when she got to work, in her coffee break, in her lunch break, in her afternoon break, and before she left to go home. She's looking at it several times a day and reflecting. Did I do that? Did I do that? And in the end, she actually told her staff, this is what I'm going to do. My intent is to be a good person and a good lead you well, but whatever she said there, I wasn't with it, but she told me after, and she told everyone, and then she told them, if I'm not doing it, tell me. If you're not game, tell Ross. Right? And so that people could see she was serious. So she tried hard, and she faltered a few times, but over time, she all those behaviours become habit of what did she want to do in order to be described the way she wanted. And she went from the highest, that's why I was called in, she had the highest staff turnover of any department in the organisation. She went down to the lowest within a year. It was actually within 6 months. Because she had the desire to do it, which gave her the discipline to do it. And that's all you need. She wasn't displaying it, but she really wanted to be that, right? Now, if you don't want to be that, then don't be a leader. Because you will be bad at it, right? And I've coached one executive who had a global position. He had thousands of people all over the world, 15 or 16,000, I think it was. So he's head of the whole company, right? It was a subsidiary company for even a greater one. And they sent me there because there again, he was having challenges and the staff were getting upset and complaining. He'd only been there a month and they're complaining. In my conversations with him over about 4 or 5 months, his PA who I used to talk to, because she'd give me the feedback of what was happening because he's in a different country, I'd just go there, but I'd get the feedback on a weekly basis. He actually showed improvement and was trying really hard, and because he knew, hell, he's 45 years of age, and he didn't get that far from being stupid, right? But he knew, but he didn't really have anyone reporting to him prior to this, because he was a head of business development. He had a personal assistant, that was it. He didn't have all these people reporting to him. So he was okay doing that, right? So he always aspired. He aspired for the title and for that job. So he got it. And then he was starting to falter. So when I was coaching him, he could understand, yes, I've got to do this. But it was so hard for him to get out of his old habits. Unlike this woman I was telling you, he kept struggling. And in the end, after a couple of months, anyway, one of my visits there, he finally admitted to me because we were talking about it. And he said, so I said, people are ambiguous, aren't you? Because he was telling me, oh, they want this or they want that or this. And I said, people are ambiguous. Unless you're comfortable with the ambiguity of people, you don't want to be, it's hard to be a leader. And in the end, he looked at me and said, I don't want this job. I don't like it. I don't like dealing with all these people. I don't like, the people are nice. I just don't like dealing with all the people, doing all the people stuff. Can I go back to what I was doing before? He was an engineer and a very good one, right? Just selling projects. He used to sell the major engineering projects to clients. Can I just go back to doing that? I don't know. I said, I've got to ask your boss. Well, you better do that. So that's what he did. Took him another couple of weeks to get the courage to say, I don't want this job. I'm global head of this division. I don't want it anymore. But he had the guts to do it because he realised deep down he's got to be true to himself, not with his head. His head's saying, take the job, take the money, take all that, all the kudos of being head. No, let's go back to doing what I was doing. That's what his heart loved. So his boss said, we haven't replaced you yet because that's what he told, like he already knew that they hadn't replaced him, but he told him, I haven't replaced you yet, so yes, you can have your old job back. But there again, he had the guts to say to everyone, I wasn't a great leader, so I'm going back to my old job. That took a lot of strength. So you've got to have the strength to stick to what's right for you. And rather than do everyone's opinions, because he knows he's got 16,000 people saying, yeah, you weren't such a bad boss, they're good riddance in a way, but they didn't because he's a nice person, just couldn't lead them properly. He was always antagonistic and arguing and asking, micromanaging all the things. But he went back to his old job and he wrote to me about 6 months later saying, I'm very thankful. Thank you for holding up the mirror and making me stick to what's true to me and true to my values. And that's what I'm saying here. Once you get how you want to be described as a leader, then are you prepared to do those things that are required in order for you to be described that way? And in essence, he didn't want to do that because he just didn't enjoy doing it. He just enjoyed selling deals, right? So back he went. See, that's there again, as I said, it's being true to that self. It's not doing what you think others want you to do. And I've had people like that. And so that's why I'm saying some of these things, because you've probably got a younger audience, is that I've had people around 40 years of age who are head of departments who I'm working with who are struggling, and then they admit that I don't even, like one I can tell you was another accountant, I don't even like accounting. Well, why are you there? Because my parents said it was a good job to do. Good profession. You'll earn good money. So when and I was good at maths, but yeah, there's a lot of other things I could do to be good at maths, right? But accounting's not one of them. Don't like it. That's why I've been promoted to this. I don't mind being an accountant, but not head of it, because I just don't like doing it. And I'm just waking up that why am I putting all this effort in this senior position when I don't like accounting? So there again, she resigned and went off doing a marketing role that she seemed happy with. Never done it before, but she pursued, because she's good at maths, I can't remember what it was now, but a role that required her analytical ability in numbers, but in a marketing role. So it's just, I say to everyone, be true to yourself. What do you enjoy doing? So when you're looking at the careers you want, what do you enjoy doing? Don't name it. Don't, I want to be an accountant. Yes, because I enjoy maths. Yeah. Write down what you enjoy doing. Yes, I enjoy doing mathematics. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing that. Then you put it all together, and then you look at what sort of job or role could give me what I enjoy doing. Not what the role does for me. What can I do for a role that covers all what I enjoy doing? So in essence, because if you enjoy doing at least 75% of what the job role does, you'll be good at it. Once you get below 75%, the psychologists tell me, then you start to suffer, and it's below 50, man, you're struggling. So that's when you start your career. Then if you want to get into a leadership position, then you're writing how you want to be known as a leader. So there's a few little tasks you can do. Same thing. Yeah, you've got a partner, you want to get married. So okay, you should do that. Both of you should write down how you want to be described. How do I want to be described as a husband? And then the woman should write down, how do I want to be described as a wife? And now what have I got to do to be described that way? What do you want me to be doing to be described that, for you to describe me that way, and vice versa? To me, that's a good foundation of a marriage. Because if you get there and think, I'd like to be described this way, but heck, I'm not going to do that, or I'm doing it, or you can hold each other accountable for it in a clinical way, I'm saying, but you get the idea. You're connecting in a far more real way, in other words, a behavioural way that's real. Because what people's intent is sometimes doesn't come out in the behaviour. The intent's good, but the behaviour, they don't have the discipline to do it. They just say it. Because everyone expects you to say it, so they say it, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, I got you. So in your life experience, I'm sure you might have seen and uh, uh, taught a lot of leaders and made leaders and helped normal people to become leaders. So overall, your experience, what you understood about the world leadership.
Well, this is good question in the sense that this is how I became a coach. I had many years in financial services, which is in banking, funds management, wealth management, um, insurance, all sort of compass up together in Australia. And one of the things I noticed over time was just the effect on people's lives a good leader has, and what a not so good effect a bad leader has. See, if you're not enjoying work, you come home, particularly take it out on your family, all those sorts of things. So then the family's not having great fun because dad or mum's not having fun. They just take it out of their family, and because they've got such a negative attitude towards work. To someone who's a really good boss, they enjoy work, they come home and they enjoy life. It's far better. I mean, sure, there can be problems, don't get me wrong. It doesn't create a perfect life for everyone, but it has such an effect, a positive effect, that's more likely to help your relationships with your partner, your children, all that, if you're enjoying work. And so seeing that, because I had that same thing, working for bosses that aren't so good, it just takes it out of you more so than bosses that are great. And my last boss before I left the corporate life to go coaching was very good. And that's what got me thinking. And he encouraged me to go coaching. And he was retiring, so I thought, well, why not? You retire, I'll go, right? Which we did. But it's that effect you have on people. So it comes back to what effect you want to have on people. And even if you're not in a leadership position, there again, how do you want to be described as a friend? How you want to be, as I said, how you want to be described as a leader? How do you want to be described as a friend? You can do that exercise in many ways. It might be very similar things, but that's not the point, because the context is a bit different, so therefore the behaviours can be subtly different. So that's the self leadership. If this is what I want to do, this is leading myself. This is what I want to do. So therefore I have to behave in a way. And sometimes you've got to force yourself to have that. And if you find yourself faltering too much, it's because you're saying it, but you don't really want to do it. And this is where a lot of people falter. The intent's there, but they just don't have the discipline or the desire. Like that example I gave you. He understood what he had to do, but he didn't have the desire to be doing it all. In a global leadership sense. He'd go back and do it be a self-leader in his own role. He'd go back and work on that. But in a global leadership sense, the context, no, I'm not interested. So when you're looking at, and this is sort of the reason why I went coaching, because if I can help leaders, because I have a sort of a natural ability to do that, and my boss used to say that, he used to get me to do a bit of coaching for some of my peers and people in the organisation above what I was doing. So it was this extra curricular activity he'd get me to do because I had an interest in it, right? So he encouraged me to do it. See, there again, a good boss. He's encouraging me to follow what I enjoy doing, which is what I was good at, and therefore I was good at it. Working in financial services was okay. I enjoyed the bit of leading people, but I didn't enjoy so much the financial side of it. I used to originally, but it was a bit, I'm thinking I'm not going to do this for another 30 years. Oh, no, like I did. But working with people, yeah, that's it. Doesn't matter what context, what industry, just work and grow people. So that's sticking to what you love.
So what is the role of communication skills in leadership?
Communication skills. Well, first one is to listen. People go, oh yeah, I listen, but quite often people are listening, but are thinking about the next question or the next thing they're gonna say while they're listening. The key is to listen, actively listen, and good leaders do that. They connect with people because they listen heart to heart in a way, right? Because they really try to understand. They seek to understand what the person's saying. So they try to listen, right? And the best way to try to listen, to show that, and particularly to show that you're listening, is to summarise so Ross, so this is what you've said, this is what you believe, blah, blah, blah. Is that what you believe? Yes? Yeah. That's it, right? So they try those exercises that keeps them listening. So their mind doesn't wander off because they're going to either repeat it or say something about it in a way that the person that's telling them knows that they've listened because they've just said it back to them in a way, right? They've summarised it or whatever they've done. That's how you show people you've listened and you've understood. So that's, to me, good leaders do that. They just work. It's not always instinctive. It is to them now because they've worked on it. They've practiced it. See, there again, the discipline to do the things that good leaders do. And most people, when they write down how they want to be described, they'll usually put in there someone good at communication who listens to me, right? All that sort of stuff, right? Well, that's what you've got to do to show people that you are listening. So, it's that. So that's the discipline to do that. So listening. So that's the first part of communication. Then you get other parts. You've got the fact that understand that people are motivated by different ways. So if you're a leader, you're trying to motivate people. For give example, like in essence, the good leaders are good salespeople. They're always good salespeople. They're good at sales. Why? Because they're selling a vision. They're selling an intangible vision that encourages people to join in and do what they've got to be doing. It could be a task or a goal. There again, they're selling it to staff. They don't just say, this is our goal, guys, off we go. They sell it. The good leaders sell it. So that's that want to. They want to do it. They feel engaged. That's why they say getting staff buy-in. That's exactly it. To get them to buy in, you've got to sell it. Simple. Very simple sales logic. Like if you go to buy a car and you go to the car place, you want to buy whatever your new car is over there, you want to buy a new car, and the salesperson goes and says, there you say, just buy that. And walk away. Well, you're not going to buy it. You go to somewhere that wants to show you stuff and encourage you and shows you all the good points and encourage you to buy that one. Then you go, oh yeah, I want to buy that one. So that's the difference, right? So there again. Then when you look at that, you've got to realise that people are motivated different ways. In 4 basic ways, they're motivated. So a good leader understands they've got to talk in a language that's may not always be familiar to them in the sense, not a Hindu versus English or something. It's what motivates people. So I'll go back to the car example. Some people buy a car because it's red or green and it's new. Like this is a great looking sporty car. I'm going to look good in this. So their motivation is to look good in their car. Right? Other people buy it. Yes, they like to look good in it too, but what their number one reason to buy it is because it's safety. It's one of the safest cars in the world, so I'll buy that one. That safety is important to me. Then other people buy it because of the statistics, the fuel ratio, the fuel consumption, the torque, or every other little engine stat that you can think of. They'll buy it because of that. That's the sort of detailed, more task-focused person, right? Then other people buy it because it's quick, it's speedy, gets you to the place fast. So they're the competitors. So they buy because they like to compete. Their motivator is they like to compete. The others, they like because it's new and it looks good. They like all that sort of looking good. And then the others who buy it for the security. So they don't buy things first. The secure people, right? They'll wait. They're not the people in line when the new iPhone comes out. They'll wait a couple of months to see whether all the bugs are ironed out of it, and they read the reviews, then they might go and buy it. So they like that secure, safe type of environment. Then, as I said, the other ones just look at all the data, how many things it can do, well, how many apps can it have, what's the capacity. See, that's the type of thing, right? So when you're selling a vision for a company, you've got to make sure you're allowing for those 4 basic motivational types: the speed, the efficiency, the fashion, the newness of it, the looking good, the safe, secure, and the data. And no different to a car brochure. They'll have all those 4 things in there. They'll have the sexy photo, they'll have all the data, they'll have all the safe and security aspects, and they'll give you the speed ratios. If it's a slow car, they won't say much about that, right? But at the end of the day, they're the 4 points why people buy things, anything. They're the 4 motivators that are basic motivators for marketing, right? So a good leader knows that. So it's saying to do this, to buy into the vision. We want to be market leaders. It'll get us there. We want to be market leaders. See, that's the competitive person. Oh yeah, I'll be into that. Let's be market leaders. We want to look good. We want to look good as a company. It'll make you feel good to work for a company that's a market leader. This will help you feel good when you come to work. Yeah, see, that's that fashion feeling good type one. Then the other one, see, if we're getting up and we're market leaders, there's a safety in our job function because the company's growing, not dying. So it helps you. It helps the security aspect. So that appeals to the staff who like the security. Then you get into the numbers, more of the numbers of what we can achieve, blah blah blah, and the number of people like that. I hope I'm not confusing your listeners, but basically, I'm just trying to give you the idea because it takes me 2 days to train or a day to train some of that to people, right? I'm just giving you a brief overview that people do think and are motivated differently. And that's where some leaders fall over. They tell people what, in a way that they know they're motivated to do, thinking that everyone gets motivated the same way, and they don't. So what motivate you, and you're getting your friend to, let's do this. Don't want to. It doesn't motivate them. But you say it in a different way. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Because you've got someone that they closer to relate to. See what I'm getting at? So that's leadership's about, when you talk about communication, it's understanding that people communicate and are motivated differently. So use the words that's going to motivate them to want to do something. And if you want me to go another aspect of communication, is that people process the words differently in their mind. And that's called neuro-linguistics. And that there again, that could be a week course to learn how the skill of that. But in essence, people process the words differently. It'd be like, what's the word? So we either picture things in our mind, we hear it, or we feel it. It's like if I said Bengal tiger, some people immediately see it. Other people feel it, and other people hear it, like the roar. It's an instantaneous, split-second reaction to in your brain. That's how you're hearing the language and you're processing it into your thoughts. But if I told you, so just picture a Bengal tiger, everyone can do it. They just do it. But when I just say Bengal tiger, you're processing it differently. Some by the picture, some by the sound, some by the feeling. Does that make sense? And so when you're communicating, if you're a visual person who paints great pictures, and the visual people really get you, they go, oh wow, I love this, right? Because you're talking in word pictures in a sense, the way you say things. But if someone who's a more kinesthetic, more feeling person, they don't quite get it. So you've got to use words that help them bring their feelings out. Then you use words to help bring out the sound. It's a bit like someone says to you, we say it in Australia, it's quite a common English one. I don't know whether you do that in England, in India. Does that ring a bell with you? You ever heard that saying? Probably haven't, I'm not sure. So people go, does that ring a bell? Huh? All they're saying is, do you understand it? Or does that resonate with you, right? Do you understand it? Does that ring a bell? See, that's to someone who's more sound conscious, is that they talk in sound words. Subconsciously. Or some people will say, can you see what I'm saying? How can I see what you're saying, really? Doesn't make sense, does it? But it's that what resonates with people. So if you were struggling to understand something, because I'm a visual person, I go on pictures, and and you're not quite getting it, I'd be saying these other words. I'd be trying to paint it in sound. Like getting back to just imagine that Bengal tiger and that sound it makes. Ah, yeah, now I'm getting it. That's what I'm getting. Ah, now I can get it, because that's what you're getting, that awesome power. You're not picturing it, but you can feel it. That's what I mean. And good communicators just do it naturally, and others work on it. But they appreciate that people, and that's all you need to do, is appreciate that people communicate and use different words and respond to different words, not just the words that you do in your style of communication. You've got to really round it out to the full 360, so you're getting everyone more likely to connect with everyone. It's like politicians have a speechwriter, because that's what they do. They're taught, is that the fact that use different words that's going to connect with different parts of the population. So I'm hoping that's making sense to people who are listening. It's a lot of words, I said. It takes me a few days to train people on that, so.
Yeah, it's very clear. So, a leader of a team, or a leader of an organization, or a leader of a country, uh, if he can be a leader who is facing a failure or facing a success. So how a failure leader, how a leader should take the failure, and how a success should be taken by the leader.
Sorry, I didn't get that last word. How come you're a leader in an organisation or a leader in a country? So you're
It can
saying, what's
be,
the difference?
yeah, the difference between two leaders who can be a leader of a team, or a leader of a country, or leader of an organization, how
Okay.
he have to see success and failure.
Well, again, it's a bit sad that I'm saying the leadership in industry and organisations is a bit poor. The good ones can lead themselves. Likewise, leadership and political leadership globally is still not a high standard because people go in it for a lot of reasons that aren't quite. They go in for good reasons, but because of the political nuances, the fact you're trying to win votes to get into power, you tend to operate out of your head. So, and basically politics particularly, because it's based on the opinion polls and based on the opinion of voters, you're trying to change the opinion of voters. So it's all in what people think. Because if you, not what you feel, but you're just doing everything what people make you popular. And that's why there's sometimes a bit of a discord. And that's why I guess there's not as many good leaders coming through in politics. Yes, there's always exceptions, right? They don't seem to appear as though we've got a high percentage because people who stick true to themselves just don't want to go into politics because of all the political games. And to see a good leader in an organisation tends to, because that's when you play all those political games in an organisation, that's where you get toxic environments. A good, healthy environment with a good leader within a company, for example, the toxicity of the toxic environment, can't even say it now, the toxic environment disappears because everyone wants to work together and collaborate. So they're not thinking about being better than the person next door in a sense. They're just being the best they can be and being the best team they can be. I mean, there's all degrees of that, don't get me wrong. Nothing's 100% perfect. But in essence, that's generally the case. Then when you get to a political environment, it's such a mixture of people with all sorts of agendas, and there's all sorts of political agendas. So it's very hard to stay true to yourself, but you've got to try to do as much as you can and ask yourself, am I doing it? It's hard to do, but I know my mission is to run the country, but I've still got to be the best person I can be as much as I can, if you know what I mean, right? It's hard because you get pushed and poked and prodded, and that's why some resign because they just had enough. They can't be true to themselves, so they resign. But if there's a way you can be as true to yourself as you can be and still maintain to try and influence the nation, then that's good. I mean, that's hard work, but it can be done. Just not quite as hard. We just don't see as many achieving it. That's the thing.
How a leader should talk.
How should leaders talk? Look, people often say you need a leader with charisma, but you don't have to be an extrovert to have charisma. I've seen leaders with some good charisma. In other words, they talk very well, but they're quite introverted, and they're some of them quite quiet. But what the words they use, people want to listen to you because it really engages. They know how to engage someone because they're talking from the heart, just not loud, right? So just use a microphone. That's probably the best thing. But, they're quieter. They're not gregarious. They're not all blasting out, hands and waves and going. That's good. That can encourage people. But not everyone has that ability. It doesn't mean to say you need to have it to be a good leader. You just need to have and do the things that how you want to be known as a good leader. And an introvert doesn't want to be known as someone with a huge amount of charisma, an extrovert. They want someone they'll be saying things like, I want to be sincere. I want to speak the truth. I want people to connect with me for what I'm saying, not how I'm saying it. Those types of things they'll say. And people will gravitate to that. The same way they'll gravitate to someone who's got a good message but says it in a very gregarious and charismatic way. So what I'm saying is there's no right or wrong way to express yourself. Just be conscious that the words are sincere and are true to yourself. But also leaders can anyone can at the end of the day be introverted but also extroverted. It doesn't mean to say you have to be one or the other. See, people say I'm a bit extroverted when I present on stage, because I crack a joke and be a bit funny at times when I'm training. But I'm quite introverted at home. So because I know that's the role I've got to play in order to keep my trainees energised, I can't put them to sleep. So I just enjoy quiet life at home. I don't have to be out doing everything every day. You know what I'm getting at? So you can, depending on what you're doing, you adjust accordingly to the environment that'll help you succeed.
How a leader can impact and change.
How leaders can impact change.
How a leader can impact something and can change something.
Well, it's basically impacting change. Now, there's companies trying to change all the time. Politicians are trying to change all the time, in a sense. And the way the world is, let's look at business, for example. Um, Things are changing every day, and it's a bit like when I first started work, which was a long time ago. We didn't even have a fax machine; they weren't even invented. This gives you an idea how long I've been working. Now we don't even have fax machines, hardly, right? But they weren't even invented, and when they came out, I was about I was running. I had a team of about 5 people. I've been working for quite a few years. Well, not how many. Probably have been working for about 14 years, 13 years. And this fax machine come to our region, come to our office, and it was the size of an army tank. It was that big, right? But now they're smaller. But see, there again, that's the thing. So so when you're looking at change, the point I wanted to make is things at that stage change slowly. Wow, we got a fax machine. Then it took a long time before we got a car phone. Then we had a handheld phone that was the size of a brick. Now we got down to smaller phones. So, but the pace of that is quickening. So the point I'm making is now things change every day, and it's where it's like where once we were running an ultra marathon. So if you stop for 5 minutes, you could soon catch up. Now it's like a 200 metre or 400 metre race. You stop for a minute, you're gone. Even running a marathon, if you stop, man, you got a long way to catch up to people. It's such a hard road. So you've got to change every day. In other words, you've got to keep going, keep running, keep stepping. Every step's a change. So to encourage people to make a major change, while we're doing it, we don't want it. We don't like it. See, that's the paradox here. We do it naturally, but we don't like it. When we have to think about it, we don't like it. Now, I'll give you an example. And I gave this example I was training some people in Malaysia last week on how to implement a strategy. And a lot of the strategies, it involves a change. But one of the things I was saying as an example, right? They all come into the training room the first day. They sit down, they get comfortable, and they feel some of them know each other, others don't. And they all usually people, unless they come in late, sit with people they know. Others just sit, right? So they sit there because they're by themselves. They feel a bit awkward, but over the course of the day, they start getting familiar with everyone. Right? So they're familiar. Okay, that's fine. Because they don't put name badges out. I just let them sit where they want. The next day, they'll go back and sit in the same chair they sat in the day before. It's just human nature. And why do they do that? Because they feel comfortable there. Yesterday, the first day, they were a bit uneasy for the first half hour to an hour. Then they realised the person sitting beside me is not going to punch me in the head or hit me in the head with a stick, or it's quite nice. Oh, that's good. I'm safe. It's that safety feeling, right? They feel safe. Okay, so they come back the next day. Oh, I'll go back there. It's safe. And if I went there and made them change all around, they go, oh, they'll feel a bit uneasy for a couple of minutes. Just that, oh, I've got to go back and do what I did yesterday morning all over again. See, that's in essence why people don't like to change, because they like the comfort zone, as we've heard, like that comfort zone. So why why be uncomfortable when I can be comfortable? That's the in essence. So when you're changing people, you've got to answer four main questions. What's the future look like? So where are we heading, basically, in an organisation or a country? Where are we now? So I know we're heading to London. So where are we now? Okay, we're in Mumbai or Hyderabad. We're in Hyderabad. Okay. So now I know where we are and where we're heading to. I know exactly now I know the distance and blah, blah, blah. So I know exactly what we're doing. And then next question, what part do I play in it? So what do I do? Okay, I know where we're going to go. I know where we are, where we're going. What's my part in it as an organisation? What role do I play? I need to know that as well. So someone needs to answer the question first, right? Where are we going? Where are we now? Or where are we now? This is where we're going, right? And this is your part as an employee. And then the last question they need to answer is what's in it for me? And if there's no what's in it for me, they'll go along with it, but they won't be going along with any enthusiasm. So that's in essence, it's in simplistic term. But that's where when a business brings out, leaders bring out change, the good leaders understand you've got to answer all those four questions and keep answering those four questions. You've got to keep doing it, not just I've told you once. Why do you ask me again? You've got to keep reminding them very, very regularly, and that gets filtered down through the organisation to where all the team leads are. The what's in it for me, and that all differ. So if I'm an accountant in the accounting part of the company, what's in it for me or my part I play differs from the part I play if I'm in the engineering department. See, all the context changes as you get more deep into the business. So but you've got to understand the big picture, what's in it for me, then the leadership filters it down through the various layers of leadership, or depending on the layers. But you've got to answer those four questions. And if you don't, it won't succeed. It will not succeed. There's a few other things you've got to do, but that's in a very quick summary of making change. You've got to at least have that at the beginning. Then how you implement it goes into another story. It took me 2 days to train my friends in Malaysia last week, so I can't really get everyone that message across quickly. But the key message is answer those four questions because it involves change. It's a bit like, it's the same in India, it's the same around the globe, that since COVID, people are looking at new jobs a bit more, right? They're resigning and looking for something a bit better, right? So, and the reason being is because COVID disrupted everyone. See, people they go into a routine. They might even be liking their job or their boss, but it's too hard work to go and look for another job, go apply, go through all that pain. I'll just go through the pain at work here and just go along, get my pay and come home. So they go through the motions. So it's wherever it is, I'm so used to getting up at this time, getting on the train, getting to work, coming home, blah, blah, blah. So it becomes a routine. Once COVID hit, they'll be disrupted. Then they get into another routine of home, working from home. Then when they want to go back, well, now they've got to change my routine again. Why stay in the same company? My routines change anyway. Let me look around. So that's why there's more looking around, because they're out of their routine. COVID forced them to get out of one. If they had a choice, some of them would have gone to work because it was still the routine than working from home. It's just weird. But people get into it. But in essence, they just don't like to get out of their comfort zone. And they're forced out of it. Now they're going back, forcing them out of it. So while I'm forced out of it, let me go and apply for other jobs. So when you talk change, answer those four questions. And the what's in it for me, that's the motivator. They'll go on the journey, but you want them in the boat and rowing, not just in the boat on the ride. That's the difference.
So at last, summing up, what do you say to the people who are into beginning level and intermediate level and who are already experts? They can be politicians, or they can be business leaders, or they can be the team leads for a project in
Look,
a company.
again, I keep saying it, is that be your true self. Be true to your inner self. That's why soul inspired is why I call it soul inspired. It's just really saying lead from your heart. Now, at the same time, there again, describe yourself how you want to be described as a person, as a husband, as a wife, as a leader, as a politician. The more you try and do that, then live those behaviours that will help you be described that way. And it doesn't matter what level you are. The younger you are, the more you do that now, it becomes such a discipline, it's natural. So when you'll rise up the ladder so far more quickly because leadership standards are poor, you'll stick out, as I said, like a lighthouse in a storm. You'll stand out because the majority don't have the discipline to do it. And that's the key. Understand the behaviours, and that's what I do. I help when I coach, is help people understand what they've got to do to be described the way what they want to be described. Saying it and walking the talk, two different things. It's that discipline and inner belief that'll come from the heart that'll push you. Because when you get times of struggle and people question and you think, oh, I'll just give in and do what they want or whatever, just check in on your heart and that'll give you the strength. No, I can do that because I believe in it. It's just like you doing this on Skype right now and you do it for your YouTube. You believe in what you're doing, so you'll keep doing it. It drives you. And that's the reason why I'm on here, because of your enthusiasm when you're connected with me. It stands out on the page in the words, right? And because that's coming from here, not coming from up here. That enthusiasm radiates. It radiates from within, not from your head. Because you'd be very clinical if it's come from the head. Because the head's very, very clinical sort of beast, the way it, and that's what it does. It helps you analyse data in a clinical way. So that's what I'm getting at. If you do and you have a belief, you keep pursuing it. Sure, you might have to take some side steps and even take 2 steps back. But if there's a reason to go backwards in your career, that's fine. If it's going to take you there again, it's fine. It might take you to do a quantum leap later. So when you go 2 steps back, you go there. Well, now what am I going to learn here? It's not the job I want, but it's a stepping stone. So what I'm not just going to go through the motions. What can I learn here that's going to help me in my future endeavours? If you have that mindset, that's self-leadership. You're always learning every day. That's the key. Keep learning every day and be a better version of yourself every day. And it won't be exactly every 24 hours you go, wow, I've learned something new today. It might take you a few days to go, yep, that's another thing. But you're looking at it. You're looking for it. And once you look for it, it'll be there.
So as a leader, as a person who creates leaders, who creates young leaders and who teaches how to lead the teams around the world, what is your observation about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine, and what do you say about my performance in this video?
Well, what I'm saying is that this before, you've got a lot of enthusiasm and you're determined to do what you're doing because that's how you reached out to me. And you know, you sent me a half an hour ago. You said, and I said, yeah, I'm good. Like you're just giving me a reminder, which was good. And then I said, I'm good. Then he said, this is exciting. See, that's all energy words. And energy comes from the heart. It doesn't come from the head. Energy comes because it's a positive. It comes from the positive. And to me, that's the key. So when I look at you, it's that energy. So keep that energy going. And and despite what's happening around you, it's like an athlete. If you're an Olympic athlete, you'll have a coach. They all have a coach. But when the coach goes home, and the athlete's still on the field oval, they don't lie down and wait till the coach comes back again. They keep training. In other words, they're not doing it for someone else. They're doing it for themselves. So they know they've got to keep training. That's them. They're not just doing it because the coach says you've got to do it. They'll do the extra. It's no different to cricket, right? You'll find all the top players, the coaching session's over, but they'll be out still hitting a ball or bowling. Like they'll keep practicing doing stuff because they know they've got to keep doing it. They're the ones who are the champions. They'll keep doing stuff because they're not doing it for someone else. They're doing it for themselves. So you keep doing it. That's what I'm saying. And when you're not sure and thinking, then you go back into your heart, because in your heart you believe, yes, I'm going to be the best that I can be. And that might be win me a gold medal or might win me an IPL championship with most runs, whatever. Doesn't matter. But if I can be the best I can be, then I'm contented. That's the key. Like you see Olympic runners, they come last in a final and they interview them, they're still happy because they just did their personal best time. I didn't win, but all I can do is my best. It's when they don't do their best and they're down a couple of seconds or a second or two, that's when they get a bit more upset. See, that's what they're doing. They're not competing. They're just trying to be the best they can be. And that's what I say in life to everyone. It doesn't matter what level you are, just compete with yourself and be the best you can be of who you want to be.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yeah, sure. There you go for it. There again, I'm not disturbing an enthusiastic young man, right? From Hyderabad. With a real good smile. So that's it. Never lose your smile, right? So you've got the positive vibes. So keep that. And that's what I've had a couple of brief looks. I didn't look at them all and go through them. I haven't had the time, but different YouTube ones. And every one of you have got a big smile on your face. And so is the person you're talking about. So you're all having fun. That's good. Keep doing that. Work should be fun. Work should be fun.
Can I also put this video and audio clip on my podcast website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Wherever you want. And you can tag me and I'll send it out mine.
So keep creating more leaders and be the reason for the biggest contribution for this planet.
Well, that's key. So, yeah, I'm working on that, but you'll surpass me one day. That's what you got to say. I'll be adding a lot more value than Ross. That's good. But add the value you want to add. That's what you're doing in essence.
Definitely, because of your words, a lot of leaders will be created listening to this conversation and listening to these words of yours. Even one person improves themselves by listening to what you said. It will be a great contribution for their family and for their organization or for their country.
Yeah, well, thanks, and that's why I do it. It could be just one person. You never know. So that's why I encourage you to keep doing it. You never know who's listening at the time they needed to listen. Sometimes life's like that. You just happen to listen to something that you never listened to before, and what a message! That's powerful, and it does something. So I do podcasts, and I'm a podcaster and do leadership podcasts for that same reason. It's just you're doing it to help and be an influence with 1,000 people's life. Doesn't matter if it's made a difference in one person's life. They'll go and make a difference to someone else's, and then it radiates out. It's that compound the way it compounds out. So yes, happy to do. So you can feel free to do it. Just tag me in on I'm not, probably on most you're on, Twitter and LinkedIn and on Facebook. So you tag me in, so I'll say something.
And I'll put your web links in the description of this video. People who find our video on YouTube can see the work that you are doing, and also can see the work that you did, and can follow you and can learn from you more. And also I'll put on the screen as well on the screen they can see your web links.
Right, that sounds good.
Yeah, I wanted to reach more people. Can you spell your social media to my podcast listeners?
Yeah, well, as I'm saying, you tag me in and I'll send stuff out, which then directs some traffic to you. I've got a reasonable number of people I'm connected with in India. Seem to have quite a few in India, so yeah.
So I belong to Hyderabad.
Hyderabad, yes, Hyderabad, yeah, I saw that, which is the IT hub. Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
know a
thank
few in
you,
Hyderabad. Yes.
thank you, Rose, for your valuable time and your valuable contribution to my medium.
Not a problem. Happy to help you.
Take care, sir.
Okay, have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, see ya. Bye bye, Sal.